I have for you an example that I want to look at that is representative of a broader phenomenon within the Republican Party. And the example we're going to use to explain this is Sarah Huckabee Sanders, governor of Arkansas, used to be press secretary, one of them during the Trump administration. Now she's governor of Arkansas. And the term I'm going to use to describe what she does and what many other people do is distraction politics. You distract from the real issues so that you're not responsible for your lack of actual solutions to the real issues. When we're talking, in the case of the Republican Party, about CRT, woke, whatever it might be, we're not talking about real issues that we could be discussing. And so Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing that 100% in Arkansas. And I'm going to give you the most recent example of that in a second or in a little bit, but first need to kind of lay the groundwork here. So first, let me give you an example of what she's been up to. This is an interview from a little bit ago, kind of right as she got into office, which was somewhat recently, and getting asked about her ban of critical race theory in Arkansas schools, even though it's not being taught in K through 12 schools because it's a higher ed course.
You hit the ground running this week after your inauguration. A number of executive orders. Some folks love them, some folks do not. Let's talk about your critics' reaction to some of these orders. One of them is called Executive Order to Prohibit Indoctrination and Critical Race Theory in Schools. The House Minority Leader there in Arkansas, a Democrat, says this: "We can't support our teachers if we alienate and insult them with headline-grabbing executive orders." She says CRT is not being taught in Arkansas schools. Axios seems to back her up. They said, reality check, there's no indication that the college-level course is taught in any Arkansas public school. So if that's true, why the executive order?
It's incredibly important that we do things to protect the students in our state. We have to make sure that we are not indoctrinating our kids and that
Okay, so then what we've heard a million times. Bravely banning something that isn't taught in K through 12 schools. But before we get to the discussion about, I'm going to lay out some other things she could be concerned with, but she's not. Instead, she's focusing on things like this and an example of what she's doing now, what her most recent political stunt is. But before, I once again need to push back against this idea that it is Republicans and Republican politicians who are caring about the children and want to protect the kids. Number one, because as we talk about every single time this discussion comes up, leading cause of death for children, firearms. If you actually cared about protecting the kids, I think you would start with the leading cause of death. And so often is individuals like Sarah Huckabee Sanders who stand against the actions that would help to decrease those very deaths, being common sense gun control. And also recently, here from CBS, the Arkansas law called the Youth Hiring Act eliminates a requirement that children under 16 obtain an employment certificate before getting hired. A document that proves a child's age, describes the work they will undertake, and gives written consent from the child's parent or guardian. So weakening child labor laws, that's what's been going on recently in Arkansas, signed off on by Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So doesn't seem it's a consistent position that we want to protect the kids. It's only whenever we're engaging in the culture war to get the base super excited. Now let's talk about, before we get to her most recent example, what are some, it seems almost if she's focusing on all of these random actions, maybe it's because Arkansas doesn't have any problems. All of them have been solved, so she has to focus on CRT, for example. No, not at all. If you look at different rankings of states within the United States in different areas, first poverty by state, and Arkansas is ranked 5th, some of the highest poverty in the entire country. You could address that instead. Highest crime rates, Arkansas is ranked 6th, some of the highest crime in the country. Education, what she likes to talk about a ton, and now higher up means good instead of the previous ones bad. So as far as how good an education system is, Arkansas is all the way towards the bottom at 41st out of 50 states in education system ranking. And then infrastructure. You could also focus on this. 43rd out of 50 states toward the bottom in quality of infrastructure. So there's plenty of things to focus on in Arkansas that she's choosing not to, and instead talking about critical race theory, woke, and indoctrination, and also focusing on this.
A monument marking the number of abortions performed in Arkansas before Roe v. Wade was overturned will now be built near the state capitol. Last week, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed a bill named Monument to the Unborn. She signed this into law, but not everyone is in favor of the monument proposal. Some anti-abortion Republicans, they said that it would be counterproductive and that efforts should instead focus on other needs such as helping pregnant women and foster children. The legislation doesn't specify where the monument will go near the Capitol grounds, which already has several other monuments. That includes one honoring the 9 black students who desegregated Little Rock Central High School, and the Capitol grounds also includes a 10 Commandments monument that was installed in.
So she's adding a monument to the unborn to mark how many abortions have happened since, or happened before Roe v. Wade was overturned with the Dobbs decision. It's all the political stunts. It's all engaging in the culture war. It's none of the substance. It's none of the actual policies that will improve the lives of citizens of Arkansas. And I wish those who are voting for people such as Sarah Huckabee Sanders and many within the Republican Party would wake up to that fact. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.